Dr. Anne Webster, member for Mallee. Always a pleasure to have you on Flow. Thanks for joining us again.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me, Ricky.
Dr. Webster, it's always nice when politicians can work together despite their political differences if there's a good topic on hand. And I think a cross-border coalition of MPs across the Victoria-South Australia borders working together to make things a bit smoother with COVID testing.
Yes, absolutely. Look, it's been a long time coming. I was very happy to work with Nick McBride and the other MPs to get that letter through, and hope that premiers pay attention.
And so the essence of this, as I understand it, is that a test, say in Victoria, isn't being recognised in South Australia, a negative result. They're wanting you to get another negative result in that state. So that's what you're trying to achieve by lobbying the respective states?
Absolutely, and it's the other way around as well. People who are having tests in South Australia or having them, analysed in South Australia. So they might be done in Murrayville, but they were being analysed in Paringa, and that still wasn't okay for Victoria. So it's just silliness, because obviously standards are standards, tests are tests. They have to be rigorous, and it's very difficult to understand how that was even possible, but it was. So we want that to change.
Yeah, well, that's good work there, and it's yet another illustration that even though there's just a line on the map, there's no real difference between the communities and certainly the testing regimes. When it comes to farm workers and getting workers into the regions to pick the horticultural crops, for instance, but also, say, the imminent winter cropping harvests, there's been some challenges there with, say, the Andrews government in Victoria, whether it's willing to bring those workers in or not. I've spoken with Minister Littleproud about this one, the ag visa. It's going to be some help to that situation, I gather.
Absolutely. I am, as you know, stoked about the agriculture visa being brought in. That will increase the countries that we can bring workers in on. It'll be based on the Pacific Labour Scheme, so pretty well the same kind of criteria and management processes will be in place. And what we need, the big hold-up is the quarantine. So what has happened in Paringa with Aspen Medical, managing the quarantine at Paringa, that is precisely what we need to happen in Mildura, whether it's Aspen or whether it's another facility management. It really doesn't matter. The point is that we desperately need to get workers in. We have thousands of people who are needed in our harvest coming up when in October, November, December, through the summer period. And it's just essential that we get these workers in. And, yeah, look, we need the Andrews government to step up and to engage. They've got the Tasmanian agreement from last year on their table now, which expires in a few weeks. They can, by all means, we want them to sign up on that one if that's what they want to do, but we are interested here locally, local government and the state member and I are all meeting this afternoon with industry, and we're going to be talking about how can we facilitate this as a safe process going forward. I'm hearing too, Ricky, that there are some people who are anxious about this. The point is that we would be looking at having people come in from green zones, just as we do now. Pacific Islands have no COVID or very, very little COVID. It's managed very well. All of the testing regime would be taking place, or people who are double vaxxed. So we are looking at a low-risk facility, and there need be no alarm about that. And, if it was Aspen Medical, for example, they have an incredible track record with no cases. They managed the Australian Tennis Open, bringing in 1,600 people from 100 rampant COVID countries, and there was not one outbreak. So they do an incredible job, and, we need to be able to move forward. We cannot live in this space forever.
Yeah, and that's a positive given the National Cabinet's meeting today, and I understand that Doherty Institute modelling that they're considering today indicates that the number of scenarios they've considered, there could be thousands more COVID cases, but they don't believe it'll lead to more deaths. So managing COVID well is important, but also we're well experienced in handling it now as well.
Look, absolutely. And, eventually, I hope in the next few months, we will come to see it as a flu season, just like we do with our other flu seasons. And sadly, yes, people do die from the flu, but we don't shut down our borders. We don't stop living our lives. If we're sick, we stay home. If we need hospital treatment, then we go to hospital. The point is the vaccination level is what matters right now. They are the numbers that we need to be focused on.
Yeah, there was a remarkable figure that came out, I think, last week from the College of General Practitioners. We had 0 flu deaths in a year. Never happened before, or not for a very long time, and we used to have hundreds every year.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, we're all locked down for a starter, and we're all wearing masks, but nobody wants to live like this forever. So
no.
Need to be given the right to take their own risks and to live their lives.
Now, I just wanted to touch base with you before we finish about community sport. These borders have created challenges, for instance, for the Murrayville club. They've actually pulled out of the Mallee finals because they just couldn't give the approval that the league needed. What with your constituency, have you had some correspondence or involvement with some people in relation to how they've had to try and work through just being able to finish their sporting seasons?
Look, it's an incredibly disappointing outcome. Teams and clubs that have worked, for 10 months to make the finals now can't play. And the year has come at a huge cost to clubs. The league managers have pulled out all the stops to try and make the comps continue, but it's just been too great to overcome. So, and the other thing is that we have hundreds of people come from Melbourne to play in country leagues. So even if regional wasn't a high risk in terms of, or in lockdown, Melbourne was. So it would be difficult to see the comps go ahead without the Melbourne players. And, we've also got to remember the countless volunteer hours that are down the drain. So I'd written to Martin Pakula, the Minister for Sport in Victoria, a couple of weeks ago, asking him for assistance so that the season could continue for community sport. And, look, it's just a really disappointing outcome but we'll be back. I think we just have to keep moving forward now. We will be back. Our community sport will be running again, and hopefully 2022 is a much brighter year for all of our regional sporting communities.
Yep, that's a good positive note to finish on. Thanks for joining us again.
You are very welcome. Thanks, Ricky.